Prompt engineering is one of the most valuable skills content creators should be thinking about right now. Most content creators I speak with start by saying they're pretty happy with their ability to write ChatGPT prompts, which is only a small part of what we're talking about here, but then go on to say that they have a sense that they're missing out on some of the secret sauce that other people who are creating content have. As we start to chat further and they relax and start to share some of the details around the prompts that they're actually creating, it turns out that they're not really using it very well, or at least not as well as they could be, which is completely understandable as it's something that's only really been around for about a year. Being able to write good prompts, like how I'm going to show you in this video, not only gives you a firm foundation to use ChatGPT in the most effective way for your content ideas and scripting, it also provides you with the firm foundation you'll need if you want to start implementing lead generation and support chatbots or agents across your website and social media channels, which means no more manual DMing on Instagram. It's also the firm foundation you'll need to create persona chatbots, which have a whole host of different monetization options attached to them. If going into more detail about this is of interest, let me know in the comments below. For those that don't know me, hello, I'm Declan Kirk. I grew a previous YouTube channel to over 15 million views before moving into tech. And now, on this channel, we help content creators automate their engagements. If you're serious about leveling up your prompt game, I recommend you grab a notebook and make yourself something nice to drink, because making it through to the end of this video will transform your prompt game. Now, I'm deliberately keeping the prompts generic in this guide. If you'd like me to drill down into specific examples, let me know in the comments below. I'm keen to help. Alright, let's get to it, baby! Now, your AI prompt should never be overly wordy or long. The more concise, the better. And all the research in this field shows that the most important aspects of your prompt should be at the beginning and at the end. Now, writing a good prompt requires you to go through 5 different stages. And to help remember this, I always use the RISN framework. So what does RISN stand for? Well, the R is for role, the I is for instructions, the S is for specifics and context, and we'll come back to this a little bit later. The E is for examples, and the N is for notes. So let's start with R, which is for role. So the first thing you should do is assign the AI a role. So assigning an advantageous role is important. Studies have shown that giving an AI an advantageous role for the specific context or use case that you've got in mind can increase its performance by 10.3%. Following up with a complementary description can further increase its effectiveness by 10 to 25%. A common one that people often use is "you're highly skilled and creative." Remember, it's important to keep it concise here. Okay, so we've selected a role that fits a task, and we've enriched the role with positive characteristics. That then brings us on to the second letter, which is I, which stands for instructions. Now, this is the bit that beginners typically do. This is where you tell the AI what you want it to do. So when giving the AI your instructions or task, you want to be direct and friendly, but also be descriptive and precise. If it's a simple task or prompt that you're asking the AI to do, you can leave it there with maybe just 1 or 2 lines. But if it's something more complex, I always use what's known as chain of thought prompting for the task. So chain of thought prompting is where you take the AI what you'd like it to do step by step by giving it step-by-step instructions. Remember, the more complex the problem, the greater the impact chain of thought prompting has on the eventual output. Which brings us on to our third letter, which is S for specifics, or specifics and context, more importantly. So we've assigned a meaningful role, and we've assigned precise but logical instructions of what we'd like them to do. Now what we need to do is specify the output and the context around it. Again, it's important to be precise here and not pile in too much extra information. What you want to do is narrow the outputs and specify what you're looking for. An example of this is each message that you create should have an intro, body, and outro, or each message should be less than 500 characters. Now, a technique people often use in the specifics and context part is what's known as emotional prompting. Studies have found that including an emotional prompt as part of the specifics and context section can enhance the output of simple tasks by 8% and complex tasks by 115%. Again, we want to be concise here. The most common emotional prompt that the studies refer to, and the one that I most often use, is "This is very important to my career." Just like with humans, it's been found that providing the context around why you're asking the AI to do something actually improves the output. Of course, this is stacking it on top of the emotional prompting we were just talking about. So this context can relate to the importance of the task, but it can also be to do with the business and its customers. Which takes us on to E, which is for examples. Providing examples has been shown to improve the prompt's effectiveness by at least 14.4%. But even more importantly, providing lots of examples prevents you from needing to refine the prompt later. The more examples you provide, the more effective your prompt will be. But this has been shown to be on a sliding scale. So the more examples you provide, the less effective it is. However, a lot of people underestimate the amount of examples they should provide. The general consensus is that you should provide 10 to 32 concise examples depending on the complexity of your prompt. Like I say, providing more examples prevents you from having to refine the prompt later, and it makes it more effective. Which brings us on to N, or notes. If you've been thorough with your prompting process, you might not initially need to use the notes section, but as you start to iterate on your prompt and look for ways to improve it, this is the perfect place to add the refinements. You see, the top and bottom of your prompt are actually the most important, and sometimes the pieces in the middle get lost. So if that's the case, add your refinements here at the end in the notes section, and that should help get you where you want to go. I quite often specify the output formatting, or use what's known as negative prompting, such as never include X in your output. Now, a good AI prompting video wouldn't be complete unless we spoke about Markdown formatting. So I haven't been able to find any research into the impact of using Markdown formatting on how it improves your prompt. But what I do know is that OpenAI, the owners of ChatGPT, write all of their prompts in Markdown formatting, and that's what's included in the dataset. So in my mind, using it just can't be a bad thing. Notion uses Markdown formatting, and that can be a great way to convert your prompts into it at the end, but if you do a quick Google search, you'll be able to find other ways of doing Markdown formatting online. If you found this video useful and you want to hear my opinion on what I think are some of the most game-changing use cases for chatbots and AI agents, most of which we haven't had access to before, then I highly recommend you watch my video here. Thanks, and I'll see you there.